What is good to stuff, family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with the Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have the FOMC minutes coming out, not to mention the massive Nvidia earnings report, which is going to affect the entire market. I'm also going to talk about what the news is saying about Tesla, what you should be watching for as an investor and trader going into tomorrow and beyond. But before I begin to double this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit $500 into the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's talk about Tesla and the markets. Looking at Tesla, as you guys can see, this thing has been downtrending quite a bit, and this is exactly what we predicted yesterday. Tesla had this channel, this bear flag like formation. It's been continuing to just make lower highs and lower lows, downtrend, 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 all the way down to about this 190 zone. It went a little bit lower before getting bought back up. And overall, Tesla's looking a bit bearish on this trend, but things could change depending on the catalyst coming out for tomorrow. The question is, will Tesla see this flag play out? Will Tesla end up getting a breakout and start pushing right back up to 202 plus, eventually 207? Or is Tesla going to fail alongside other stocks out there? And is Tesla going to start sinking all the way back into the 180s? I'll be giving you guys some answers about this in the next couple of minutes, but let's first talk about the markets and the things affecting us for tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. At 8 o'clock in the morning, we have Bostic from the Fed giving a speech, which is very minor data. We have at 11:30 a.m., we have the 17-week bill auction and then the 2-year auction coming out. Very minor data as well. At 1 p.m., we have Bowman from the Fed giving a speech, which is very minor, should not cause too much. But then we have something big coming out tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the FOMC minutes coming out. This is very important because when you look at the FOMC meeting in general, usually you just have Jerome Powell giving a speech and then the report comes out from the Fed. But the minutes give you a summary and a report of the entire meeting. And we're going to see more information about the insights and the ideas and thoughts of other Fed officials. This is important because this will end up dictating the way the market sees the current Fed projections. Because right now, the Fed is basically expected to give us a pause slash skip during the next FOMC meeting in March. There's a 91% chance that's going to happen. If a lot of these Fed officials are very hawkish or they say things the market doesn't like to hear, this could start going up again and we could start to see this coming down. So the odds of the Fed giving us the 25 basis point cut in March could drop depending on what they end up saying. The Fed moves the market like crazy, so there's a very good chance we might see some high volatility once the data comes out. Now, I can't predict what's going to happen. It really depends on what they end up announcing. But I do want to note that there is a risk of more Fed speakers being a bit more hawkish because the last couple of CPIs were a little bit hot. So you want to be very careful. If the trend about the Fed keeping rates higher for longer perpetuates, that's going to be a little bit negative. So just be very careful when this comes out and expect some high volatility. But this is not the biggest thing coming out. Also, after the market closes tomorrow, okay? We also have Nvidia's earnings. That's going to be very, very pivotal for the markets. In the morning, by the way, we have like Wingstop and VIX, just very small earnings. I'll talk about those in the morning. But after market close, we have Nvidia tomorrow, and that's going to be huge. Why is it so big? Because Nvidia is a monster. It is parabolic. It can move the entire market like crazy, believe it or not. Now, its market cap reached $1.8 trillion last week, right? It climbed like crazy, surpassing the looks of Alphabet and Amazon. Now, the question is, what's going to happen? Well, it has very high expectations. We're expecting a 240% increase in revenue to about $20.6 billion for the period ending in January 28th. And then that's going to be them meeting expectations. We're also going to be looking to see a lot of growth potential, gross margins increasing even more, not to mention very, very strong expectations for their next reports, their next expectations for AI, new products, and such. So, I'm going to be listening to what Jensen Huang has to say this time around. There's a lot of hype behind the company, so it's going to be huge. And there's going to be a lot of concerns about the GPU sales, which could be declining a bit, especially for big tech. So, we'll see what they say to address this. But basically, we need expectations to be met by NVIDIA, and we have to have some strong guidance for this thing to run. In my opinion, here's my opinion. I think that NVIDIA is going to continue to invest in AI, and they're going to end up meeting expectations, if not beating them. That's what's been happening for the last couple of earnings. I think there's a very good chance they beat expectations on revenue. They meet the $20.6 billion threshold, if not break it. I think they're going to continue to remain strong. But what I'm not too sure about, and this is my honest opinion, is I'm not too sure about guidance. I can't make any promises that they're going to just crush guidance, raise expectations again or not. Unfortunately, I can't make any promises about that. So the truth is, we just have to wait and see what happens with their guidance. It's going to still have a big effect on the market, so we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But that's my opinion. I think they're going to beat expectations and beat estimates, but I'm not too sure about their guidance. We'll just have to wait and see because there's so many other factors affecting them. Now, when it comes to the market, I just want to call out that moving forward, we also have the market at extreme greed right now in terms of market momentum. And the market is overall just on greed now. It's not as extremely greedy as before. Going down here, you'll notice that the put and call positioning is still at extreme greed. And then we have market volatility at extreme fear. Now, don't worry too much about market volatility. And this is why this thing hit extreme fear, then came right back down because of the market getting a big bounce. So, this is just going to be reactive to the market and it's just going to be impacted by Nvidia. That is something we still have to wait for. And I'll actually give you guys more details about the VIX in just a couple of minutes. I first want to talk about more news. So, something that's negatively affecting the Chinese stocks alongside Tesla, Chinese EVs, is because of the insurance registrations. We got some dips for February 5th through the 18th. Why is this happening? Because of the new year. There's a lot of drops that have been happening in the registrations, and this has been causing lots of like EV companies to dip. That's because of something that tends to happen when it's Chinese New Year. We tend to see sales drop historically, so it's not really that big of a deal. If you don't believe me, let me just show you the guys the trends. So down here, you'll see Li Auto, their sales dropped. If you look at Neo, their sales dropped as well. If you look at Xpeng, their sales drop. And then for Tesla, their sales have been dropping as well for the last few weeks. And then same thing with BYD, big drop for them in the latest data. Why is this happening? Because of Chinese New Year, people are taking time off, and this is a very, very common trend. They should start to go back up as we approach like March. So I just wanted to call that out. That's part of why Tesla dropped today, because of this trend that tends to happen in China. It's nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to become too concerned about. We just have to wait and see more data just to be safe, because generally after the new year ends, right, in China, sales tend to come right back up, if anything. Now, looking at more things that have come out, for the Gigafactory in Berlin, the expansion has not been voted upon by locals. It's just a little bit negative for Tesla. Giga Berlin is a massive, massive facility. As you guys can see here, it's huge. And Tesla has been working for some more expansion plans because right now they're only producing the Model Ys at the plant. So they're working on expansion plans and ideas, but they need some more votes from locals. But not everyone is on board with the project. If you look at the get go locals, the environmental groups, and such, they're very, very concerned about the water supply concerns and the deforestation of the site. So they're so far not really liking the idea of Tesla expanding over there. So, with all this negative sentiment right now, it's a little negative for Tesla. That's part of why Tesla dropped to, at least to some extent. But we'll see what happens moving forward. Maybe Tesla could come up with different propositions. They could try to negotiate and find a way through this. I do believe Tesla could do it. So it's not the end of the world. But we'll have to see what happens moving forward. We'll see if any other negotiations are made and what else happens for now. But Tesla does have to deal with these issues. I'm sure Tesla will find a way, and never give up, guys. It's just something worth noting. Volume was 104 million, a little bit below average. Then when it comes to short volume, we actually saw this drop just slightly, nothing too bad. And finally, when it comes to their views right now, Daiwa has actually given Tesla a neutral rating. The price price ratio was trying to bounce. Now it's coming down a bit because Tesla's losing some strength. Wednesdays tend to be green about 48% of the time, and we end up having high volatility. More volatility typically happens around 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time historically. And besides that, all financial estimates are the same, still relatively strong. So that's it for Tesla thus far. Let's talk about the charts now and break down some very important things and levels. So as far as Tesla goes, I just want to call out something important. Tesla has this downwards channel. In order for this to break out, we need a bullish catalyst. We need some good piece of news, or we need Nvidia to help the market pump in earnings for Tesla to break out to 200 plus. Otherwise, it's kind of downtrending right here. And looking at how this can move tomorrow, I think we might get a little pop tomorrow we could just temporarily get like a wick above this and come back down, just like trade sideways. So I think the market might actually attempt to rebound a bit. We might even see Tesla attempt to break out and come back down. And then we might just see some sideways price action until the FOMC minutes come out. So that's what I think is going to pan out. I'm not just talking about us just like kind of getting above this yellow trend line. I'm referring to like a real breakout when it comes to us getting back above 200. I don't see that happening tomorrow yet, unless we get some bullish catalyst. I think what's going to happen is we might pop to this resistance at 195, then come back down to 192 and sink back down to 190, and then trade sideways throughout the rest of the day. So make sure you watch 192 as support, 190, then 188. Watch resistance at 195. Look for a pop, a drop, and sideways price action approaching the FOMC minutes. Then the minutes are going to cause a big move. I don't know what the move is going to be. We just have to wait and see. And then after that's out, Nvidia's earnings will come after that when the market closes. We'll see what that causes as well. So approaching it, pop and drop, sideways price action, and we'll see what happens after the minutes are released. How about for SPY? SPY is very simple. Okay. We have this nice double top rejection, but we're going to find out if SPY is about to turn bearish and start a downtrend, if this is like a double top and we're about to just start sinking into the 480s, if this is like a symmetrical double top, see how this is like we started way down here and the 480s came up, down, up, and then we start sinking down, or are we about to form a cup and handle like this and then we start pushing up after Nvidia's earnings into new all-time highs? Honestly, guys, I don't know. We'll just have to see what the earnings bring, but I can tell you a couple of things. So, at the end of the day, SPY was on a downtrend. It still is technically on a downtrend, but we saw some buyers defend it at 494, the critical support we called out. And as soon as that happened, we closed above 496, which is a good sign. Now, to be bullish, we need to see this thing hold 496. I think we might see this thing actually test 497.8 or so, a little rebound, then a rejection, some sideways price action. That's kind of like what I'm predicting. And I'm saying that because when you look at SPY on the 4-hour time frame, if not the 30 minutes time frame, you can see we're approaching this resistance right here on the 30 minutes. I think we might end up testing that level. So what I think is going to happen is SPY might rebound, retest the 497s, come back down and trade sideways. So watch support at 496 and then 494 is critical support, and 498 and then 500 is resistance. Look for a pop and drop and sideways price action to 496s. Then when the FOMC minutes come out, we'll see if we get a big rally to 500 or if we get a rejection back down to the 494 area. Then Nvidia will determine the next move after that. Will SPY end up flying to new all-time highs and pushing back up, or is SPY about to get a big rug pull? We'll just have to wait and see. How about for the QQQ? Now, the QQQ is not looking as good as SPY because look at this high right here. We have this high, we made this low, we made a lower high, then we made a lower low. We're starting to downtrend on the triple Q. Okay, not looking the best for the bulls. Now, looking at what happened, we did see some buyers try to defend it at the end of the day. So going into tomorrow, I think we could retest 427. Maybe go a little higher to 429, then trade sideways from that resistance. Then watch for a big reaction after the FOMC minutes, alongside some other pieces of news. Watch 429 as resistance about 430 and then 432. Watch support at 425, 423.8, and 422.5. My gut tells me we might pop, drop, and trade sideways, then watch for a big reaction after the FOMC minutes. So it could grab liquidity up here in this zone right here near 429 to 430, come back down and trade sideways, and then the FOMC minutes will determine where we go for the rest of the day. And then after the day is over in terms of the open hours, Nvidia will determine the rest. Remember, the QQQ, the NASDAQ, many indices like those are going to make massive, massive moves because they're heavily dictated by NVIDIA. It's been contributing to high volatility in this market. For NVIDIA, I want to call out something very important. Okay. NVIDIA had this channel, and I was telling you guys yesterday, it was showing some weakness in my eyes. We had a triple top. We had this potential downtrend forming. Once we broke 725, that was our break. This thing came tanking all the way down to 680. Big drop on NVIDIA today. But when it comes to the way this thing moves, going into tomorrow, because it drops so hard, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing tries to make its way back up to about 693 to 700 and just trade sideways in this range for some time. Now, don't worry too much about tomorrow for Nvidia specifically, because tomorrow when the market is open, it's going to do whatever it wants to do. It might just trade sideways around 700 to about 680, going back and forth and back and forth. But what's going to determine which way this thing ends up going is going to be its earnings. The question is, will this thing run all the way up to the high 700s, break all-time highs, or is this thing going to crash all the way back down to the low 600s? Well, it depends on earnings. It really depends on earnings. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm a very patient person, so I'm always going to be open-minded. I do want to note I think Nvidia is going to beat on estimates, but I'm not too sure about their guidance. So I'd rather just wait and see. That's what I think is going to pan out. So we'll see how it goes. Nvidia has been beating earnings quite often, but they have to address a couple of concerns about their GPU sales. So we'll see how it goes. Overall, Nvidia is going to make a massive move, so don't worry as much about tomorrow when the market's open. We'll worry about this once the market closes. Now, Apple's been downtrending. Watch 180 is critical support alongside 178. Watch resistance at 182.5 and then 183.5. There's a good chance it might actually rebound to 182.5, if not a little bit higher, reject and trade sideways for some time in the 182s. And then I think there's a very good chance that it makes a big move depending on the minutes. So the minutes could cause this thing to come down to the 170s again, 178 or so or below that, or they might cause this thing to run up to 185. It depends on what's announced. It's going to dictate the whole market. Then after the minutes are out, wherever we are, we're going to see what happens after Nvidia's earnings. So that being said, that is it for the main five I typically go over. Let's go over just a couple of more very quickly. I want to just make this video kind of concise and then give you guys as much of an analysis as possible. So I'm going to do this in the next like 4 or 5 minutes. Let's go over just a few more. For Rivian, to me, it looks like it's trading sideways, might retest 16 and trade sideways from there. SoFi is showing some strength. It looks to me like we have a nice accumulation forming. It might test from a technical standpoint 8.64 tomorrow. Then it's going to react to the FOMC minutes, so wait for that. For ARM, this is looking a little bit weak. It could retest 20.4, if not 21.8. This range again before rejecting and coming back down towards 116. Look for a pop and drop, but overall it's kind of on a downtrend, so we'll see how it goes, and then we'll watch and see what happens after Nvidia's earnings. For Supermicro, which a lot of people are interested in, this looks like it's attempting to reverse. We have a potential inverse head and shoulder structure trying to develop, but we have to try to break and close above 820 soon. If we do break that, this thing could start pushing up again. We might, in my opinion, test 802, but then we'll see what happens after the FOMC minutes and all the other factors come out. Will this thing get a big rejection off that 800 area, or will it start breaking out? We still need confirmation for it, but there is an attempt, there is an attempt by it to try to base, if anything. For Palantir, it's going to test 23.28. If that breaks, 23.8 is coming, followed by 24. It might rebound just a little bit, but then we'll have to see after that because it's kind of trading sideways. For the Russell 2000, I think it might retest 199.7 again, then trade sideways just under 200 before making a big move after the minutes are released. For Microsoft, this is attempting to rebound. We have to try to get above 402.6. If we do hold above that, we could try pushing, but I am concerned because it might pop and drop because we still have a head and shoulders that's forming on Microsoft. We have a left shoulder and a right shoulder and a head. If we continue to drop watch 395 as support, we'll see how that ends up looking. So watch that very carefully. For AMD, I'm going to be watching 161 very close to the 200 EMA. If we lose that, 158 is coming next. We look a little bearish right now, so just be kind of careful. For I'm going to go back to the VIX. For the VIX, I'm not worried about it right now because it's going to be heavily dictated by the markets. So the market's going to determine if this thing ends up making the move that it's going to make or not. And it could go either way. Now, we have this big gap to fill below. Are we going to break out anyways and push back up towards, these high levels? Or is the VIX about to get a rug pull and come right back down because of Nvidia dragging the markets upwards? I don't know, guys. Anything could happen to the VIX. Last time it broke out to 18 and came back down, so you never know what could happen. Just be open-minded for the time being. For Coinbase, we're kind of range bound. If we break 174.25, we're going to turn bullish. We could be pushing for 180 after that to this imbalance. If we reject off this, we could sink towards 164. Otherwise, we're kind of range bound for now, so we'll see which way we break. For Google, we're kind of trading sideways at 142. If we break to the upside, which is still possible, we could be looking for 143 and 144.43. If we reject off this, watch it come down to about 140. Now, to me, it looks like it's trying to recover. It came down all the way down to 140. We're seeing some buyers defending it. So I think it might be attempting to form a wedge here. So it might try to push up to at least 144 temporarily, not forever, just temporarily. So see if you get a little rebound on Google. For Amazon, this is very, very unusual in a way because this is attempting to get back up, right? We have to see if this thing could hold the key levels because when you look at the 4-hour time frame, there's one concern I have for this. So we have a left shoulder, a head and a right shoulder developing, but we're trying to get back above our key EMA, this 169 area. If we could hold above 169.06, I think it's going to be pushing back up to about 172. If we fail to break 169, we're going to be coming right back down towards 165. So do we reject off 169 and come back down, or do we break it? That all depends. But there is a head and shoulders like structure, so there is a little risk here. I'm not counting on this to break out because it hasn't broken out yet. If we reject and lose 165, we're going to be sinking to 160, by the way. So do we get a rejection here at 169 and come down to 160, or do we break this and start pushing for 175? We just have to wait and see. There is a head and shoulders, so just be very careful on Amazon. For Meta has a bearish divergence. If we end up losing 463, not 463, sorry. If we lose 465, watch 463.66. And if that fails us, then 455 is coming. If we manage to break 472, we could be pushing for 478. So we'll see how it goes right here. I do want to know it's looking a little bit weak, so I do see a risk of it testing 463 again, but we'll see if this could bounce or not, so just be a little bit careful. There's a risk, but just be careful with Meta. And with that being said, guys, for the market, look for a little rebound tomorrow morning, then sideways price action, and then the real move for the market is going to be determined by the two catalysts. So don't forget, at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the FOMC minutes, and don't forget about Nvidia's earnings. Let me just note, I am not a fortune teller. There are people on YouTube who say they know what's going to happen. Well, no one truly knows. No one knows what's going to happen with Nvidia's earnings. Nobody knows what's going to happen with all these events unless they have insider information, which is extremely unlikely for retail. To be honest with you guys, I've given you guys an analysis of what the charts suggest for us approaching the FOMC minutes, but I really can't predict those. I can't make any promises. I broke down the levels and the moves to watch for, so make sure you're prepared. I'll give you guys more insights tomorrow, so be ready, do what you have to do, and I want to be as unbiased and honest as possible on this channel. So get ready for the big moves that are coming. Get ready for Nvidia's earnings. It's going to be massive for the whole stock market. And do what you have to do, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the next one. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and peace out.